that no one area continuously gets missed. And we can also make sure that our residents are aware of where they might be in the line of them coming the following day on Friday. They have also extended their days. They've even extended in through picking up on Saturday as well. But we will keep you informed of that. We are part of a consortium contract, and that contract is pandemic. Now, therefore, I, Joe Begany, Mayor of the City of Reynoldsburg, Ohio, proclaim May 6th through the 12th, 2021, as National Nurses Week. So again, thank you to all the nurses. And last is at the behest of the Franklin County Board of Health. They've seen an increase in the use of youth vaping, and so they asked a awareness day of the dangers of youth vaping. So again, whereas many misconceptions surround the use of e-cigarettes and other vaping devices, including the fact that they contain nicotine, a highly addictive chemical that can harm adolescent brain development. And whereas, despite laws prohibiting the sale, distribution, and giving of vaping devices to persons under 21 years old, 29.8% of high school students reported using e-cigarettes frequently. And whereas the City of Reynoldsburg supports the Franklin County Public Health's Community Health Improvement Plan, addressing the need to increase the education on the dangers of youth vaping and other tobacco product use. And whereas 1.8 million fewer youth e-cigarettes nationwide were used nationwide in 2020, and whereas there are still 3.6 million youth e-cigarettes users in the United States, and whereas the City of Reynoldsburg urges the community to remain vigilant in helping to further decrease the number of high school students initiating e-cigarette use and the overall accessibility and availability of e-cigarettes and other tobacco-related products to the youth. Now, therefore, I, Joe Begany, Mayor of the City of Reynoldsburg, proclaim May 10th, 2021 as Youth Vaping Awareness Day. These are all important issues, and we do want to make sure that we keep in mind the health and well-being of our community. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer any. Thank you.
Do we have any other communications this evening? Next, we'll move on to item 9, our reports. We do have a report from the Auditor's Office. Bailey, would you please read that report?
The Auditor's Office submitted the budget by department and classification for the months of February and March 2021.
Next, we'll have Chief Baker with the liquor report. Liquor permit.
Good evening, good to see you again. Tonight we have a liquor permit transfer request. It is for the Reynoldsburg Fresh Market located at 6308 East Livingston Avenue. We know the business as Save-A-Lot. This is simply a transfer of a liquor permit due to a change in ownership. The liquor permit is going to stay the same. It's a C1, C2, D6 class, which permits the sale of beer, wine, and mixed beverages in sealed containers for carry-out purchase only. From 2019 to 2021, we've completed 8 police reports at that location. All of them had to do with theft from the business, so there's no police activity related to this liquor permit. The Department of Liquor Control advised our investigator that the Reynoldsburg Fresh Market Incorporated has no history that would prevent the permit from being transferred. I do not recommend we request a hearing for this permit transfer at this time.
Thank you. Next, we have our Development, Parks, and Recreation Committee. Councilmember Baker.
Thank you, Madam President. This is the Development, Park, and Recreation Committee meeting for May 10th, 2021. Members in attendance are Councilmember Cotner, Councilmember Lawson Rowe, Councilmember Pacquiao, myself, and you, Madam President. The first item on the agenda is an ordinance appropriating funds from the unincorporated general fund to various accounts in the Park and Recreation Department. Director Donovan.
Thank you, Chairman Baker, members of the committee, President Jenkins. It's great to see everyone. This is a request asking council to authorize funds be appropriated from the unappropriated general fund into the various accounts listed in the Parks and Recreation Department that are listed in the legislative request, totaling $7,172.56. Some of it is from sponsorship dollars and reimbursement.
Any questions from the committee? Nope. Any questions for council? From council, sorry. Okay. Seeing none, I make a motion that we forward this ordinance on for first reading. Do I have a second? Second by Councilmember Pacquiao. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. This will be forwarded on to council for its first reading.
Thank you.
All right, the second item on the agenda is an ordinance to replace and repeal ordinance number 59-2021, authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract to purchase real property to be used by the city of Reynoldsburg and declaring emergency. Director Bowsher.
Thank you, Chairman Baker, other members of the committee, President Jenkins. This is before you, this one and the second one. I know we had this brought back to you last council meeting. Basically, we had to clean up some of the ordinance language to ensure proper appropriation for the funds for the purchase and the contingency. So this one and the next one has a $15,000 contingency just in case things would arise. Obviously, for the first one, it's for a phase 2 assessment, so we can actually move forward with that through EMH&T. And I did want to make sure that we all knew that this was for a public purpose for economic development, and that's why it's before you this evening. I'll answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions from the committee to Director Bowser? Any from council? Yes.
I do have a
Madam-
question.
Yes,
Councilman
Councilwoman
Baker.
Strickland.
Yes, thank you. It's good to see you face to face here. So you said this was brought back to council because the appropriation, it was mislabeled or?
Correct, yeah. It was just a clerical error. We needed to bring it back to ensure that the money went into the right account appropriately and legally.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, I make the motion that we forward this on to council. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Pacquiao. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? One nay. Motion carries, and it will be forwarded on to council as a single read emergency. I guess I should read that into the minutes. The third item on the agenda is an ordinance to replace and repeal ordinance 40-2021, authorizing, directing the mayor to enter into a contract to purchase real property to be used by the city of Reynoldsburg and declaring an emergency.
Same thing goes for agenda item number 3.
Okay. Any questions from the committee? Any from council? Okay. Seeing that, I'll make a motion that we move this forward to, on the council as a single read emergency. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Lawson Rowe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? With one opposition. This ordinance passed and will be forwarded to council for a single emergency read. Let's see what else is on the agenda. And that is it. Back to you, Madam President.
Next on the report, we have Public Safety Law and Courts Committee. Councilmember Bryant.
Thank you, President Jenkins. This is the Public Safety Law and Courts Committee meeting for May 10th, 2021. Members in attendance are Councilmember Cotner, Councilmember Lawson Rowe, Councilmember Peckrell, myself, and President Jenkins. Item 1 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to purchase 1 police cruiser for the police department and declaring an emergency. This legislation is being requested as a single read emergency. Chief?
Thank you, Chairwoman Bryant, members of the committee, President Jenkins. At the end of last year and the beginning of this year, we had 2 cruisers that were totaled at no fault of our own. One was struck head-on by a drunk driver. You probably heard about that at the beginning of this year. We have just settled with the insurance company for those funds to replace those vehicles. So we are asking for the funds from the 2 vehicles be allocated from the general fund into our police fund to replace with 1 cruiser. This is a state bid item, so we're asking to waive competitive bidding on this item. And also, we ask for an emergency to try to get this vehicle in close to when our other vehicles come in or are outfitted from our vendors.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the committee on this legislation?
Nothing else.
Yeah, so we basically pay a deductible, and then we get insurance funds from our insurance, and then they go for subrogation. But typically, it's hard to recoup the money from that. Yes, yes.
Any other questions from the committee? Council? All right. I move that we forward this ordinance to council as a single read emergency. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Peckrell. Do we have any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This ordinance will be forwarded to council as a single read emergency. As there's no further business before the Public Safety Law and Courts Committee, I return the meeting to you, President Jenkins.
Thank you. Item E on the reports is Public Service and Transportation Committee. Councilmember Strickland.
Thank you, Madam President. This is the Public Service and Transportation Committee meeting for May 10th, 2021. Members in attendance are Councilmember Cotner, Councilmember Pacquiao, Councilmember Lawson Rowe, myself, and President Jenkins. Item number 1, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with EMHT for construction inspection services related to the East Main Street Improvement Project Phase 1, Davison Drive to Jackson Street. This ordinance has been brought back to committee to amend the legislation to add an emergency language so the ordinance can be approved tonight. Yes, Mayor.
Yeah, I can answer any questions that you have for this one. Director Dorman has childcare that is being arranged. We weren't sure when we were coming back or if we were coming back, so things took a little bit, but I can answer any questions for you if you have.
Are there any questions or comments from the committee on the legislation? Any from council? I move we amend this ordinance to add emergency language. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Pacquiao. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. I move we forward this ordinance as amended to council as an emergency reading. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Lawson Rowe. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. This ordinance as amended will be forwarded to council for an emergency passage. As there is no further business for the Public Service and Transportation Committee, I return the meeting back to you, President Jenkins.
Thank you. Next, we have item F, which there is no Finance and Administration Committee meeting this evening. We will move on to our consent agenda for emergency adoption. Items 10A through E are part of a consent agenda. These ordinances stand for emergency adoption unless someone wants to remove an item for further discussion. Council will move forward to vote on these ordinances. I'm sorry? Can we read them individually, please? You want them read individually? Okay, the clerk will read them. Would the clerk please read items 10A through E?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to purchase one police cruiser for the Reynoldsburg Police Department and declaring an emergency. An ordinance to replace and repeal ordinances number 39
Okay, hold on just a moment.
I believe Councilman Cotner wanted them read and voted on individually. Is that correct?
You want to vote on them individually? Okay.
So we'll need to read item 10A. There would need to be a motion and a second and then a roll call.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
We'll need to reread item 10A. There would need to be a motion, a second, and then a roll call.
Yes.
So.
I'll go ahead and reread it, and then we'll ask for a motion. Yeah.
Okay.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to purchase one police cruiser for the Reynoldsburg Police Department and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to approve item 10A?
So moved.
Councilmember Baker.
Second.
And then a second.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see the
And then you'll
vote.
need a second.
Second. Is there a second? Councilmember Lawson Rowe.
And then I'll call the roll.
Would the clerk please read item 10B?
I'll call the roll on 10A first.
Please call a roll on 10A.
I got it. Ready?
Oh, would the clerk please call the roll? I'm sorry.
Councilmember Salvati.
Yay.
Councilmember Pacquiao.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson Rowe.
Aye.
Councilmember Cotner. Councilmember Baker.
Aye.
Councilmember Bryant.
Aye.
Councilmember Strickland.
Aye.
It's 7 votes.
7-1. Approved.
Approved, sorry.
I can't hear anyone with their mask on.
There were 7 yes votes and no no votes, Council President.
Okay. 7 votes and no votes.
negative.
No negative votes, right?
Correct.
Okay. Would the clerk please read item 10B?
An ordinance to replace and repeal ordinance number 39-2021, authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract to purchase real property to be used by the city of Reynoldsburg and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to approve item 10B? May I have a second?
I'm sorry. I verbalized the motion and
Yeah.
recognize the member who made the motion. Sorry.
You take that off, I can't hear
I'm sorry. I feel like I'm 6 feet away from everybody. Just verbalizing the motion to approve and then recognizing the member, then moving on to the second.
So we need a motion to approve,
Yes,
and then we need a second, correct?
yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So moved.
So we have a motion approved by Councilmember Bryant, and we have a second by Councilmember Baker. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Salvati,
Aye.
Councilmember Pacquiao,
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson Rowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Cotner, Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Aye.
Councilmember Strickland.
Aye.
That's 6 approve and 1 negative.
So the motion has been approved, 6 votes and 1 no vote, negative vote.
Correct.
Would the clerk please read item 10C?
An ordinance to repeal and replace ordinance number 40-2021, authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract to purchase real property to be used by the city of Reynoldsburg and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Sabat. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Would the clerk please call the roll, please?
Councilmember Salvati,
Aye.
Councilmember Pacquiao,
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson Rowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Cotner, Councilmember Baker,
Yeah.
Councilmember Bryant,
Aye.
Councilmember Strickland.
Aye.
It's 6 approved and 1 negative.
The motion has been approved, 6 approved and 1 negative vote. Would the clerk please read item 10D?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with EMH&T for the construction inspection services relating to the East Main Street Improvement Project, Phase 1, Davidson Drive to Jackson Street, and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Councilmember Baker, may I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Pacquiao? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Salvati,
Aye.
Councilmember Pacquiao,
Aye.
Councilmember Lawson Rowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Cotner, Councilmember Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Bryant,
Aye.
Councilmember Strickland.
Aye.
That's 6 approve and 1 abstain.
The motion has been approved with 6 votes and 1 abstained. Would the clerk please read item 10E?
An ordinance authorizing the appropriation of additional salary funding for overtime for the water and sewer departments and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to approve this ordinance?
So move.
Councilmember Strickland, may I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Baker, would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Salvati,
Aye.
Councilmember Pacquiao,
Aye.
Councilmember Lawson Rowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Cotner, Councilmember Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Strickland, Councilmember Bryant,
Aye.
Councilmember Strickland.
Aye.
That's 7 approve.
7 approved and no negative votes. Next, we'll move on to item 11 on the agenda, which is consent agenda for a first reading. Items 11A is part of a consent agenda. This ordinance stands for a first reading unless someone wants to remove this item for further discussion. Council will move forward with a first reading. Would the clerk please read item 11A?
An ordinance appropriating funds from the unappropriated general fund to various accounts in the Parks and Recreation Department.
This ordinance stands for a first reading. Next, we have on the agenda item 12, consent agenda for a second reading. Items 12A through D are part of a consent agenda. These ordinances stand for a second reading unless someone wants to remove an item for further discussion. Council will move forward with a second reading. Would the clerk please read items 12A through D?
Item A, an ordinance authorizing the city auditor to remove equipment from the city's fixed asset list for the police department. Item B, an ordinance to repeal section 533.08, sexual exploitation of the codified ordinances for the city of Reynoldsburg, and replace with a new section 533.08, sexual exploitation. Item C, an ordinance to amend Section 533.09, soliciting and loitering of the codified ordinances for the city of Reynoldsburg. Item D, an ordinance to amend Chapter 167, Records Commission of the codified ordinances for the city of Reynoldsburg.
These ordinances stand for a second reading. Item 13 on the agenda is consent agenda for a third reading. Items 13A through E are part of a consent agenda. These ordinances stand for a third reading and approval. Unless someone wants to remove an item for further discussion, council will move forward with a vote on these ordinances. Would the clerk please read items 13A through E?
Uh,
Could we please read item C individually and vote on item C individually?
C, as in cat? Okay.
in a-
Would the
in a-
clerk please read items A, 13A and B, and D and E?
In addition, Council President, I would ask that we remove item 13D from vote tonight. We'll hold that until the May 24th meeting.
Are you saying B as in boy?
D.
D as in
D as
dog?
in dog, yep.
So I am going to read A, B, and
Yes.
E. Yeah. All right. Item 13A. An ordinance to amend, remove, and add various sections of Chapter 971 Municipal Parks in the Code of Ordinances for the City of Reynoldsburg, Ohio. Item B, an ordinance to establish the Reynoldsburg Adopt a Road program. And item E, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into consultation contract with Tischler Weiss Incorporated to complete a feasibility report to determine the advisability of establishing impact fees in the city of Reynoldsburg and appropriating funds therefore.
May I have a motion to approve ordinances 13A, B, and E?
So moved.
Councilmember Savati, may I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Strickland, would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Salvati,
Aye.
Councilmember Pacquiao,
Aye.
Councilmember Lawson Rowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Cotner, Councilmember Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Bryant,
Aye.
Councilmember Strickland.
Aye.
That's 7 affirmative votes, no negative.
Thank you. These ordinances are approved, 7 affirmative votes and no negative votes. Next, will the clerk please read item 13C?
An ordinance to establish Chapter 701 Landlord-Tenant Relationships of the Codified Ordinances for the City of Reynoldsburg.
May I have a motion to approve this ordinance? Councilmember Baker, may I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Lawson Rowe, would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Salvati,
Aye.
Councilmember Pacquiao,
Aye.
Councilmember Lawson Rowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Cotner, Councilmember Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Bryant,
Aye.
Councilmember Strickland.
Aye.
That is 6 affirmative and 1 negative.
This ordinance, 13C, is approved with 6 affirmative votes and 1 negative vote. Next, we'll have ordinance 13E. Would the clerk please read 13E?
We ran, yep,
E, as in Edward?
yes.
Okay, wait a second. So it's, I'm sorry, would you read 13D, as in dog? David?
We're going to hold that.
We're holding 13D. We're on to item 14.
Oh, okay. So these ordinances have all been approved?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sorry about the confusion.
You're just rusty.
Item 14 on the agenda is other council matters. Staff has requested that council consider ordinances 50-2021 as an ordinance of support for the city's participation in the Central Ohio Rapid 5 project to connect Central Ohio greenways and appropriating funds therefore.
Thank you,
Yes.
President Jenkins. This is before you tonight. Like some of the others that I had brought up, it was appropriated just fine and passed as an ordinance. However, it was not appropriated into an actual fund. So this money will be deposited into the Development Department under miscellaneous items, and we can therefore pay said invoice and help Morpsey in their Rapid 5.
Do we have any other further discussion? Yes. Councilmember Cotner?
Just a quick question, please. Prior to Attorney Shook or written in the ordinance as a donation, this seemed a little confusing.
This was,
Kind of looking with the same blank look.
this was a, well, it's interesting, Councilmember Connor, because this is a debate that we had via email for about a month, trying to figure out how we were gonna characterize it.
We had this internal dialogue and discussion, so.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what that looked like.
Ultimately, whether you characterize it as a contribution or a donation, this is not part of a contract. We are contributing this money to this project, and with no guarantee of us receiving anything in return other than this is helpful to the city because the Greenway is connected to our bike path. The reason why it came before council is because we're characterizing this as an intergovernmental agreement, which our charter would require us to present to council. And the reason we are asking for a motion to reconsider this ordinance, which was passed last meeting, is to ensure that the money is appropriated. It was previously assumed that the money was already in the Development Department's budget, and it was not, so we were coming to council to appropriate it.
To give you actually an update, we actually met for the very first time last week, just to give you all of you of an update on the Rapid 5. So we are a key stakeholder that's part of that, so we're part of the big Walnut watershed. That's how they're viewing us. So Edge Architects and Landscape Architects are the ones that will be working with us. Every key area through the Rapid 5 area got a different architect, so that's who we're working with. And they were very excited and surprised about how much work that we were already doing, like going after a lot of the Clean Ohio Fund grants, as well as a lot of the civic park improvements. So they were very excited about being able to take all the stuff that we're doing at a local level and being able to put it into the larger book and allow it to be best practice for other communities to follow suit with. So we're already on our way.
Quite a while in Greenway.
Absolutely.
Cool opportunity, so it wasn't an opposition to that, it just the way the language read, and like I said, dialogue, it sounds like it's.
Madam President. Thank you. Well, thank you for that explanation here. I see that there were some internal conversations that got to some other folks instead of everyone. So thank you for the explanation. It sounds as though that was maybe an internal conversation that happened amongst other people that's in this room, and certain people got.
It was just a conversation among the administration, city attorney's office, and the city auditor's office.
Okay.
We don't typically loop in council on that because we don't want
Yeah.
to violate the open meeting.
I thought so. So it sounds like Council Cotner had some information that other people didn't have here on city council. But I appreciate you giving us that explanation here, because it sounds like it was something that happened internally.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that he actually had any knowledge. I think he just asked.
Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure we all getting the same information, so thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments?
I have one statement rather than a question. This is very important. I expect that when this goes through, and hopefully we'll make a good pathway for cleaning in terms of not only the air, also the physical trash from the street and our waterways. I think through this project in the future that might come up so that we can have a clean air and clean land, and the trash will be out from the city.
Yeah, in fact, if you would like, first meeting of every month, if you'd like me to come back up and give you an update about how the project is going and sort of maybe once we get some deliverables, we'll share this with council and keep everybody involved, I'd be more than happy to do so.
Thank you. At this time, I need a council member who voted in favor of this ordinance to make a motion to reconsider ordinance number 50-2021.
So moved.
Councilmember Baker, may I have a second, please? Councilmember Pacquiao. Is there any other discussion? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Salvati,
Aye.
Councilmember Pacquiao,
Aye.
Councilmember Lawson Rowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Cotner, Councilmember Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Bryant,
Aye.
Councilmember Strickland.
Aye.
7 affirmative votes, no negative.
The ordinance was passed with 7 affirmative votes.
That's the motion to reconsider was passed 7-0, and then we have to have a motion to amend.
May I have a motion to amend ordinance 50-2021 to add the appropriation language in section 2?
So move.
Thank you, Councilmember Meredith Lawson Rowe. May I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Bryant. Will the clerk please call the roll to amend ordinance 50-2021?
Councilmember Salvati,
Aye.
Councilmember Pacquiao,
Aye.
Councilmember Lawson Rowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Cotner, Councilmember Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Bryant,
Aye.
Councilmember Strickland.
Aye.
7 affirmative.
This ordinance has been amended, 50-2021, with 7 affirmative votes. May I have a motion to approve ordinance 50-2021 as amended? Motion made by Councilmember Baker. May I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Strickland. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Salvati,
Aye.
Councilmember Pacquiao,
Aye.
Councilmember Lawson Rowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Cotner, Councilmember Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Bryant,
Aye.
Councilmember Strickland.
Aye.
That is 7 affirmative votes, 0 negative. The ordinance is approved as amended.
This ordinance is approved with seven affirmative votes and no negative votes. And this is amended ordinance 50-2021. Does anyone on council have any other further items that they would like to discuss? Yes, Councilmember Strickland?
Thank you, Madam President. I just would like to invite the public out on May 22nd from 1 to 3. The mayor and I will be doing a walk in Civic Park. Just talk about some of the things that we are proposing for that area. So we are inviting everyone to come out so you can, share in the walk and talk over at Civic Park again on May the 22nd from 1 to 3 p.m.
Does anyone else on council have anything that they would like to add? Councilmember Baker?
Just real quick, the mayor read a proclamation for the nurses. Personally thank the nurses because they are the backbone and the heroes of this pandemic. And also, I just want to say thank you to all the essential workers, whether you're working in the warehouse, the factories, the grocery stores, because it is because of you that help move us forward and continue to help us go forward in this pandemic. So once again, thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone, yes, Councilmember Pacquiao?
Thank you, President Jenkins. Couple of things. This May is Asian Heritage Month. So recently we have seen a lot of hate crime against Asian all throughout the country. There are many things in Congress being passed. And all of us sit together, say no to hate, and also celebrate the contribution done by Asian American in our country. I being myself from the part of Asia, so most of the time the Asian is considered Chinese or Asian, but the whole Asian continent is much bigger than China. That is one thing. And also May, now is starting graduation month. A lot of students, many people are graduating now. Just want to say congratulations to all those who are graduating. And finally, Director Dorman, he's not here right now, but wants to thank him. Please convey my thanks to him for acting so promptly and making things happen. What are people like community members, whenever they bring the complaint, and I just sent email within an hour. He just said, yeah, this needs to be acted, done. So just want to thank to him for doing things very, very effectively. So just thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other items that we'd like to discuss this evening from council? Our upcoming meetings are council, BZBA, Planning Commission meeting. Council next meeting is scheduled for Monday, May the 24th, 2021, and the time is at 6:30. Unless there's no additional business this evening, this meeting stands adjourned, and the time is 7:19. Thank you, everyone, and welcome back.
Joe.